Hi everyone, my name is LEOW, and this is my digital project titled #Recycle Right Malaysia. The theme I've chosen focuses on communication and the environment. Two things might seem unrelated at first, but actually they are deeply connected in our daily lives. Every single day we communicate, whether it's through talking with friends, sending messages, or scrolling through social media. Communication has been a part of who we are. It helps us share ideas, express feelings, and most importantly, learn new things. But while our communication continues to evolve, our environment, however, is slowly suffering. When I began exploring this topic, I came across some really eye-opening information. According to a study by Zulkifli and colleagues, 2021, Malaysia's waste production has been increasing at an alarming rate, from about 38,000 tons per day in 2015 to nearly 50,000 tons per day in 2020. That's a huge jump, almost 30% in just 5 years. Even more concerning is, another study found out that 37.91% of respondents in Malaysia are aware of proper waste management and environmental care. That means more than half of the respondents still doesn't understand or maybe doesn't care enough about the importance of managing waste properly. When I first read that, I was honestly shocked. I asked myself, why is this happening? We have all learned about recycling and pollution since primary school, right? But somehow, awareness doesn't always turn into actions. That made me realize something important. Maybe the problem isn't that people don't know what's right. Maybe the problem is how the message is communicated. And that's where the link between communication and environment comes in. How we communicate determines how people respond. For example, when we post about trending topics on social media, people notice. They react, they share, they engage. But when it comes to recycling or environmental care, those messages often don't reach the same level of attention or excitement. So, I asked myself another question. What if we could use communication, especially digital communication, as a tool to bring environmental awareness to life? That's where the idea for Recycle Right Malaysia was born. My goal is to create a campaign that not only informs, but also connects, using social media, digital storytelling, and educational platforms to promote recycling habits among Malaysian students. This digital project isn't just about environmental awareness, it's about lifelong learning, which is the core idea in our big idea. Lifelong learning shapes teachers' passions in achieving quality education. As future teachers, we are not only responsible for teaching academic knowledge, but also for inspiring positive change. By combining communication, environment, and education, we can create something meaningful, something that not only raises awareness, but encourages real action. In this presentation, I'll be exploring two main ideas. First, how digital communication can be used as an educational tool to express awareness, and second, how environmental campaigns can be built in schools to inspire responsible habits in a multicultural society like Malaysia. I hope that by the end of this video, we will see how small actions, even something as simple as posting, sharing, or recycling, can build a generation that learns, grows, and cares for the planet. Let's begin with the first part, communication. Communication is something we often take for granted because we do it every day. For example, when we speak, text, post, comment, or even react with an emoji. It's a basic part of our lives. But when used meaningfully, communication becomes an incredible tool for education. Today's world revolves around digital communication. From the moment we wake up until the time we sleep, we are surrounded by information such as videos, messages, notifications, and content from social media. In the context of education, this change has transformed how students learn and how teachers teach. According to Siwan and Azali 2021, social media has become one of the main learning tools among young adults in Malaysia. We no longer rely only on textbooks, but we use YouTube to watch lessons, TikTok to explore study tips, and Instagram to find educational infographics. And honestly, I think all of us can relate to that. For me, I often use YouTube to understand complicated grammar topics or to revise before exams. Sometimes, watching a short video helps me understand better than reading a whole page of notes. This shows that communication isn't just about talking anymore. It's about how we use technology to share and build knowledge. But it's not just me saying that. Researchers like Saha 2023 found that online platforms encourage peer-to-peer learning. It means students can learn directly from each other through digital discussions, comments, and sharing of experiences. This form of learning makes education more social and interactive, which motivates students to participate more actively. Another study by Asman, 2021, mentioned that using social media in teaching increases the creativity and engagement. Students are more likely to express themselves through videos, digital posters, or online discussions. Imagine a classroom where students create TikTok videos to explain recycling steps or design digital posters about saving energy. That's communication in action, which is creative, engaging, and modern. However, while social media brings many benefits, it also comes with challenges. Sometimes there's just too much information online. We scroll through hundreds of posts a day, but not everything we see is true. As Hayes 2020 points out, this can lead to information overload. When our brains can't process everything, we end up with shallow understanding instead of deep learning. I've experienced that too. There were times when I searched for environmental information online and got confused by so many different opinions, some realistic, some exaggerated, and some even fake. That's why teachers play such an important role in this digital era. We can't stop students from using social media, but we can guide them on how to use it wisely. Teachers need to teach digital literacy, the ability to find, evaluate, and understand information from digital sources. When students learn how to identify fake news or bias online, they become smarter and more responsible digital citizens. So, what does this have to do with the environment? Well, communication is how awareness spreads. If people can be influenced by trends and viral posts, imagine how powerful it would be if environmental messages were communicated in the same way, through interactive visuals, storytelling, and consistent digital engagement. A simple Instagram post about recycling, or a short YouTube video showing how plastic waste affects the ocean can reach thousands of young Malaysians within minutes. The question is, are we using our communication skills to help the planet? Or are we letting them go to waste? I believe that when communication is used purposefully, especially by teachers and students, it can inspire real change. That's why my campaign, #RecycleRightMalaysia, starts with this concept. Before we can fix environmental problems, we first need to fix how we talk about them. We need to make environmental education digital, fun, and relatable. Communication doesn't just happen inside classrooms anymore. It happens in comment sections, on TikTok For You pages, in WhatsApp groups, and even through memes and short clips. The challenge for us as educators is to meet students where they already are, online, and to turn those platforms into learning opportunities. Because when communication is used wisely, it becomes more than just exchanging words. It becomes a bridge that connects people, ideas, and actions. And through that bridge, awareness can travel farther than ever before. If communication can spread trends, it can also spread change. Every day, we scroll through endless posts and videos. But communication is not just about words, it's about influence. One post can inspire, one message can create awareness. Imagine seeing this message online. It may seem simple, but it might take someone to think twice about how they handle waste. Now, let's move on to the second major part, the environmental issue. When we talk about the environment, most people immediately think about things like pollution, floods, or global warming. But one issue that's actually very close to us, something that happens around us every single day, is solid waste management. In Malaysia, this issue is becoming more serious each year. According to studies, our country produces nearly 50,000 tons of waste every single day, compared to around 38,000 tons in 2015. Just take a second to imagine that. 50,000 tons of waste. That's enough to fill hundreds of garbage trucks every day. And the sad part is that a huge portion of that waste are things like bottles, papers, and food containers that could actually have been recycled or reused. But statistics alone don't always make people care. Another study found that only 37.91% of Malaysians are aware of proper waste management. That means more than half of the respondents still doesn't really understand or maybe doesn't prioritize the importance of taking care of their waste. When I first read that, I honestly had to pause for a moment. I thought, how can this be possible? Because we all grew up learning about recycling. We know the reduce, reuse, recycle slogan since primary school. Then, I realized something important. Knowing something doesn't automatically mean doing something. And the main problem is, there's a gap between awareness and action. If we look deeply into causes, the reasons make sense. Our modern lifestyle encourages convenience, like fast food, online shopping, and disposable packaging. We buy more, use more, and throw more. Rapid urbanization also plays a part. As cities grow, waste management becomes harder to control. And most importantly, environmental education is often taught in a very traditional way, through notes, but not through experience. Even students who are supposed to be the agent of change are often have moderated levels of environmental awareness. In a study by Dessa and her colleague, 2010, students were found to understand the concept of recycling, but they didn't always practice it. This shows that education needs to do more than just deliver information. It needs to inspire behavior. This chart shows awareness levels among 422 respondents. The small section, only 37.91%, represents those who are aware of sustainable solid waste management, while the big section, more than 60%, shows those who are still unaware or not practicing it. When you look at the chart, it's not just about numbers. It's a reminder that we have a long way to go as a society. When I saw this data, I started thinking about myself too. How often do I actually recycle? How many times have I thrown a plastic cup into the wrong bin just because it was easier? I realized that change really has to start from small and everyday actions. This brings me to the campaign that I've designed, Recycle Right Malaysia. The idea is simple: to use digital communication as a bridge between awareness and action, starting with schools. Teachers can upload short videos or posters on Google Classroom or YouTube, reminding students about the importance of separating waste. They can create online challenges, for example, a 1-week Recycle at Home campaign, where students record short clips of themselves recycling bottles or cans. Students, on the other hand, can take charge by creating bilingual infographics in English and Malay. For example, posters saying, "Recycle right, kita semula dengan betul." This not only spreads environmental awareness, but also promotes multicultural inclusions. Because in Malaysia, communication isn't just about language, it's about connecting different communities for a shared purpose. When everyone, regardless of race or background, participates in this kind of campaign, we create unity through a common goal: protecting our planet. For example, some schools already introduce Green Week programs, where students collect recyclable materials and earn eco points for their class. Activities like these make environmental awareness fun and interactive. They show that learning doesn't have to stay in books. It can happen through action. And that's what this project is really about, turning awareness into habits. Because at the end of the day, education should lead to change, not just memorization. Sometimes, change begins with a single moment, a single choice. One step towards the right bin might seem small, but that one action, multiplied by hundreds or thousands of people, can create a huge difference. This act may look simple, but it symbolizes what lifelong learning really means. We learn not only from books, but from our daily lives. We reflect, make better decisions, and slowly we grow. Through the Recycle Right Malaysia campaign, I hope to encourage both teachers and students to see themselves as learners, not just inside the classroom, but as part of the world we share. Teachers can guide, students can lead, and communication can connect them both. Because at the end of the day, the environment is our classroom too. Alright, so after doing this whole project, I actually learned quite a lot. Not just about the environment, but also how communication plays such a big role in spreading awareness. At first, I didn't really see how these two topics, communication and environment, were connected. One sounds like social media and technology, and the other is all about nature and sustainability. But once I started reading the articles and planning my campaign, it began to make sense. Because communication is what helps us share knowledge, and without it, awareness about environmental issues would stay small, like only between certain people. For example, we can post posters on Instagram or share short clips on TikTok or YouTube to remind others to recycle properly. It's simple, but it reaches so many people. I think that's one of the main things I learned. We don't need to make big and complicated campaigns. Sometimes, short and clear messages can already make an impact. And through this, I also realized that communication can shape our attitude. Like, if we keep seeing positive reminders online about environmental care, slowly, it becomes part of our mindset. Another thing that I noticed while doing this project is that people actually know about recycling. We have been taught that since school, but awareness doesn't always mean action. I'm guilty of this too. because there are times I throw away bottles or papers without even thinking, just because it is easier. But after going through the data in my first article, seeing that only 37.91% of respondents are aware of solid waste management, I realized how serious it is. That number is really low, especially when you think about how many campaigns already exist. So, I started thinking maybe the problem isn't the lack of information, but how it is communicated. Maybe people just scroll past posters or ignore long explanation. But if we use social media creatively, with visuals, challenges, or short clips, it might catch better attention. That's where my ideas for the Recycle Right Malaysia campaign came from. It is something teachers and students can do together. Use digital platforms to learn and teach each other. Teachers can upload short educational videos, create digital posters, or post reminders in bilingual format, English and Malay. Students can make their own infographics or short clips to share what they have learned. I think this kind of project is fun and meaningful because it connects learning with real life. It's not just about memorizing facts about recycling. It's actually doing something small to make a difference. That part was a small idea I had, me throwing a bottle into the bin, but it actually represents something more deeper. It's like saying, I understand now. I want to take that small action. Because sometimes big changes starts with really small things. One person recycling a bottle might not seem like much, but imagine if hundreds of people start doing it every day, that's when it becomes powerful. And that's also what lifelong learning means to me. It's not just about being a teacher who teaches grammar or reading. It's about being someone who keeps learning, adapting, and trying new ways to teach meaningfully. Through this project, I got to practice that. Learning to combine digital tools with social awareness. I realized that as a future teacher, it's important to stay creative and open-minded. Like, we can't expect students to listen if we keep using the same methods all the time. We have to speak their language. And nowadays, their language is digital. Using YouTube, Canva, or TikTok doesn't mean we are following trends. It means we are communicating in ways that reaches them. This also fits Malaysia's multicultural context. When we use bilingual campaigns like English and Malay, or even add subtitles, it makes the message more inclusive. Everyone, regardless of their background, can understand and participate. It creates unity through learning, which is actually one of the goals of quality education. This assignment is about understanding that awareness starts from communication, and communication leads to action. I hope through this project, more people, especially students, can realize that they can make a difference too. Even small steps like throwing a bottle into the right bin, or sharing an educational post, reminding a friend not to litter, that all counts because change doesn't always happen in one big moment. Sometimes it happens through small actions that build up over time. So to summarize this project in one line, good communication creates good awareness, and good awareness leads to real action. That's how we can move towards sustainable and quality education together. Let's recycle right, let's communicate right for a better future.
Thank you for watching.